My son told me not to come for Christmas because I'd bring down the mood. I sat there in my Honda Civic outside Phoenix General Hospital, staring at the oncology appointment reminder on my phone. 6 months. That's what Dr. Mitchell had said 3 weeks ago. 6 months to live, and my own son didn't want me around for what might be my last Christmas. The phone was still warm in my hand from Michael's call. 31 years old, living in the house I'd been secretly paying for, telling me my cancer was too depressing for his new baby's first Christmas. I didn't argue, I didn't beg, I just smiled. The kind of smile that comes when you finally understand exactly what needs to be done. "Okay, Michael," I'd said quietly. "I understand completely." He had no idea what I was about to take away from him. Let me back up and tell you how we got here. My name is Robert Davis. I'm 54 years old, and until October 15th, 2024, I thought I had decades left to watch my son grow into the man I'd hoped he'd become. That was the day Dr. Sarah Mitchell sat me down in room 315 of the oncology wing and explained that the stomach pain I'd been ignoring wasn't stress. Pancreatic adenocarcinoma, stage 4. The words hit like a freight train, but Dr. Mitchell's voice stayed gentle and professional. "We're looking at approximately 6 months, Robert. Maybe a little more with aggressive treatment, but the cancer has already spread to your liver." I asked her to repeat the timeline. 6 months. She handed me pamphlets about chemotherapy options, support groups, and something called end-of-life planning. The paper felt strange in my hands, too light for something carrying such heavy news. I didn't call Michael right away. How do you tell your only child that you're dying? Instead, I drove home to my small apartment and stared at the mortgage payment I'd been making automatically for the past 4 years. $3,200 every month for 48 consecutive months. See, when Michael graduated from Arizona State with his marketing degree, he landed a job at Pinnacle Corp making $85,000 a year. Good money, but not enough for the kind of house his new girlfriend Jessica wanted. She had expensive taste, came from money. Her parents, Robert and Linda Wilson, owned a mansion in Scottsdale worth about $850,000. Michael was embarrassed that he couldn't afford the lifestyle Jessica was used to. So when they found a nice starter home in a decent neighborhood for $400,000, I offered to help. Actually, I did more than help. I became the co-signer on the loan and started making the payments directly from my account at Wells Fargo. Account number 4-528-7439-1265. I can recite it from memory because I've logged in to make that payment every single month since January 2021. Michael thought he was paying the mortgage himself. I set it up that way on purpose. Transferred the money to his account first, then it would auto-pay to the bank. I wanted him to feel independent, successful. I wanted him to believe he'd achieved something on his own. The total so far? $153,600. Not that anyone was counting. Well, I was counting, especially after Jessica got pregnant and they started talking about upgrading to a bigger place. "We've been so responsible with money," she'd tell her friends. "Michael's really got his finances together." I bit my tongue every time. The baby came in September. Emma Davis, 7 pounds, 3 ounces. Beautiful little girl. I bought them everything for the nursery. The crib, the changing table, the rocking chair, even those tiny clothes that cost more per pound than prime rib. About $8,000 total, but who's counting? Me. I'm counting. I was at every doctor's appointment during Jessica's pregnancy. I helped them move the furniture when they set up the nursery. I even painted the walls myself, a soft yellow because they wanted it to be gender neutral. But when Emma was born, something changed. Suddenly, I wasn't family anymore. I was an obligation, a burden, someone who didn't quite fit the image they were building for themselves. The first sign was Thanksgiving. "Dad, we're actually going to Jessica's parents' house this year," Michael had said casually, like it was no big deal. "It's important for Emma to bond with her other grandparents, you know." I said I understood. Because what else do you say? But what happened next would change everything between us forever. The call came on November 30th, 3 days after Thanksgiving. I was sitting in my recliner, the one I'd had since Michael was in high school, reading through some chemotherapy brochures Dr. Mitchell had given me. My phone rang. Michael's name on the screen. "Hey, Dad." Listen, I need to talk to you about Christmas. I muted the TV. Sure, son. What's up? Well, Jessica and I have been talking, and we've decided to host Christmas at our place this year. Jessica's parents are coming down from Scottsdale, and her brother's flying in from California with his family. That sounds wonderful. What time should I be there? There was a pause, a long pause, the kind that tells you everything before a single word is spoken. Actually, Dad, that's what I wanted to discuss. We think it might be better if you didn't come this year. I set down the brochures slowly. I'm sorry. Look, it's nothing personal. It's just that with your situation, it would be uncomfortable. Jessica's parents are really upbeat people, and we want Emma's first Christmas to be joyful, not depressing. My situation? The cancer thing, Dad. I mean, you're going through chemo, you're always tired, and honestly, it's just a lot. We don't want that energy around the baby. I felt something cold settle in my chest. Michael, I haven't even started chemotherapy yet. Well, whatever. The point is, it would just be weird having you there when everyone else is celebrating. You understand, right? It's not like you'd really enjoy it anyway. I stared at the mortgage payment confirmation email on my laptop screen. December 1st payment, $3,200, scheduled to autopay in about 6 hours. So, where exactly am I supposed to spend Christmas, Michael? I don't know, Dad. Maybe you could do something low-key? Watch movies or something? Jessica's parents are really sophisticated people, and they don't really understand your whole situation. What situation would that be? You know what I mean? The blue-collar thing, the cancer. The way you get all emotional about family stuff? It's just not the vibe we're going for. I was quiet for a long moment. Outside my window, I could see Christmas lights going up in my neighbors' yards. Families getting ready to celebrate together. Michael, do you know how much your mortgage payment is each month? What? Why are you asking that? Just curious. I don't know, like 2,800 or something? Why does that matter? It's 3,200, son. Every month for the past 4 years. Okay, whatever. Look, Dad, I have to go. Jessica's making dinner and her parents are calling soon. We'll talk after the holidays, okay? Maybe we can get lunch or something. Michael, wait. Before you hang up, I need to tell you something. What? I looked at my laptop screen. The payment was scheduled to go through at midnight. One click and I could cancel it. Your mortgage payment, the one that's due tomorrow? Yeah, what about it? It comes from my account. It always has. Silence. What are you talking about? Wells Fargo, account 4528-7439-1265. I'm the cosigner on your loan, Michael. I've made every single payment for 4 years. $153,600. More silence. That's impossible. I make my own payments. You make payments to yourself, son. I transfer the money to your account first, then it autopays to the bank. I set it up that way so you'd feel independent. I could hear Jessica's voice in the background asking who he was talking to. Dad, this is crazy. You're being dramatic about a little cancer. It's not like you're dying tomorrow. The words hit like a physical blow. Dr. Mitchell's voice echoed in my head. 6 months. Actually, Michael, I am dying. 6 months, maybe less. But don't worry about it. You won't have to deal with my energy much longer. Oh, come on. Don't be so dramatic. That's when I made the decision that would change everything. I moved my cursor to the cancel payment button. You know what, son? You're absolutely right. Christmas should be joyful. So here's my gift to you. You get to have the Christmas you really want. Without me. I clicked cancel. Payment stopped. What's that supposed to mean? It means you just got exactly what you asked for. Independence. And I hung up. Little did he know, the real lesson was just beginning. After I hung up, I sat in my recliner for about an hour, staring at the confirmation screen on my laptop. Payment cancellation successful. Next scheduled payment, January 1st, 2025. But I wasn't planning on there being a January payment either. See, when you're told you have 6 months to live, it changes your perspective on a lot of things, especially on enabling ungrateful children who think your terminal illness is too depressing for their perfect Christmas. I opened a new browser tab and logged into my Wells Fargo account again. This time I went to the automatic payment settings and deleted the recurring mortgage payment entirely. 4 years of payments, gone with a few clicks. Then I did something else. I called my lawyer. Robert Davis calling for Tom Harrison, please. Tom had handled my divorce 3 years ago. Good man, understood family complications. Robert, how are you holding up? I heard about the diagnosis. I'm so sorry. Thanks, Tom. Listen, I need to discuss some legal matters. About my son's house. The one you co-signed for? That's the one. What happens if I stop making payments? Tom was quiet for a moment. Well, legally, both you and Michael are responsible for the loan. If payments stop, the bank will send notices to both parties. After 30 days, they can begin foreclosure proceedings. How long does foreclosure take in Arizona? Usually about 4 months from the first missed payment to the actual sale. Robert, is everything okay? I told him about the Christmas conversation, about being uninvited from my own son's family celebration because my cancer was too depressing. Jesus, Robert, that's awful. Tom, here's what I want to do. I want to stop the payments and let the foreclosure process begin, but I don't want Michael to know I'm involved until the very end. You want to teach him a lesson. I want him to understand what he's been taking for granted. Tom explained the process. The first notice would go to both of us in about 5 days. Michael would probably call the bank, confused. They'd tell him the payment hadn't been received. He'd scramble to figure out what went wrong. The beautiful thing, Tom said, is that as co-signer, you have the legal right to stop payments at any time, and you can restart them any time before the foreclosure sale if you change your mind. I won't change my mind. Robert, are you sure about this? We're talking about your son's home, where he lives with his wife and new baby. I thought about Michael's words. It's just not the vibe we're going for, like I was some kind of party crasher instead of the man who'd sacrificed everything to give him the life he wanted. Tom, let me ask you something. If your son told you that your terminal cancer was too depressing for Christmas, what would you do? Tom was quiet for a long time. I'd probably want to teach him a lesson too. Then you understand. We talked for another 20 minutes about the timeline, the legal protections I had, and what would happen if Michael tried to make payments himself. The monthly payment was $3,200. On his $85,000 salary, after taxes and expenses, that would be nearly impossible to maintain. One more thing, Tom. I want to make sure that when this all comes to a head, I have documentation of everything. Every payment I've made, every sacrifice, every time I help them. You want to build a case? I want to build the truth. After I hung up with Tom, I opened a new document on my computer and started typing. 4 years of mortgage payments. $8,000 for the nursery. Thanksgiving plans canceled. Christmas uninvitation. Dr. Mitchell's diagnosis. Facts, numbers, dates, evidence. Because what happened next would require proof. I saved the document as michaelseducation.docx and closed my laptop. Then I did something I hadn't done in weeks. I smiled. For the first time since my diagnosis, I felt like I had some control over my life again. Michael wanted independence. He was about to get more independence than he'd ever imagined. The phone call I would receive in 5 days would make everything clear. December 5th arrived like clockwork. I was sitting in Dr. Mitchell's waiting room for my weekly checkup when my phone started buzzing. Michael's name on the screen. I let it go to voicemail. Buzz, text message. Dad, call me. Something weird is happening with the mortgage. I smiled and put the phone back in my pocket. Dr. Mitchell called my name. How are you feeling this week, Robert? She asked as we settled into her office. Better than I have in months, actually. She raised an eyebrow. That's unusual for someone at your stage. Are you taking the pain medication I prescribed? I don't need it. Turns out the best medicine for terminal cancer is watching your ungrateful son learn some hard truths. Dr. Mitchell frowned. Robert, what are you talking about? I told her about Michael's Christmas call, about the mortgage payments, about my decision to stop enabling him. I see, she said carefully. And how does this make you feel? Powerful. For the first time since you told me I was dying, I feel like I have some control over my life. She made some notes. Robert, I need to ask, are you considering this because of depression related to your diagnosis? Because there are resources, ... Dr. Mitchell, with all due respect, this isn't depression. This is clarity. I have 6 months left, maybe less. I'm not going to spend those months being treated like a burden by the person I've sacrificed everything for. My phone buzzed again. Michael. "Excuse me," I told Dr. Mitchell and answered, "Dad!" Finally, "Where have you been? I've been calling for hours." "I'm at the doctor's office, Michael." "What's so urgent?" "There's something wrong with our mortgage. The bank says we missed the December payment, but that's impossible. The payment always goes through automatically." That is strange." "Strange? Dad, this is serious. We could lose the house. Can you call the bank and figure out what happened? Maybe there's some computer glitch or something." I looked at Dr. Mitchell, who was trying to pretend she wasn't listening. "Michael, have you tried calling them yourself?" "Of course I called them." "They said the payment was scheduled, but then got canceled. They want to talk to the account holder, but I don't understand any of this banking stuff. You're better with financial things." "I see. And when you called, what exactly did they tell you?" "They said something about the payment being canceled by the primary account holder, but that doesn't make sense because I make the payments." I could hear Jessica in the background. "Michael, just ask him to fix it. We have people coming to look at the house this weekend." "People coming to look at the house? Interesting. Dad, are you there?" "I'm here, son, just processing what you're telling me. Can you just call Wells Fargo and sort this out?" "I don't have time for this right now. Jessica's stressed enough with the baby, and her parents are asking questions about our finances." "What kind of questions?" "They want to know if we're ready to move up to a bigger place." Jessica told them we might start looking at houses in their neighborhood next year. But now this mortgage thing is messing everything up. I felt something twist in my chest. Not the cancer, something else entirely. "Michael, can I ask you something?" "What?" "Dad, I really need you to just handle this. How much do you think you pay for your mortgage each month?" "I don't know, like $2,800? What does that matter right now? And how much do you make at Pinnacle Corp?" "Dad, what is this?" "I make $85,000 a year, you know that. Can we please just focus on fixing this payment thing?" I did some quick math in my head. 85,000 gross meant about 58,000 after taxes. Call it 4,800 a month take home. Rent on a comparable house in their neighborhood would run about 2,500. Car payments, insurance, groceries, baby expenses, easily another 2,000 a month. Even at $2,800, Michael's supposed mortgage payment would leave him with exactly zero money left over each month. But he'd been talking about upgrading to a bigger house. "Michael, I have another question." "Dad, please, just call the bank. Where exactly did you think the money was coming from for this bigger house Jessica wants?" Silence. "What do you mean?" "I mean, if you're barely making your current mortgage payment on your salary, how were you planning to afford something in Scottsdale?" We've been saving money. We're good with our budget." "What savings account, son?" More silence. "Michael, I need to tell you something. Something I should have told you a long time ago." "What are you talking about?" Dr. Mitchell was staring at me now, clearly invested in this conversation. "Your mortgage payment isn't $2,800. It's $3,200. And you've never made a single one." "That's crazy, Dad. You're not making sense. Check your bank statements, Michael. Look at the mortgage payments for the past 4 years. Then look at where that money actually came from." I could hear computer keys clicking. "I'm looking at November. The payment went through on November 1st. $3,200 from my checking account. Now look at November 1st. Look at the deposits. More clicking, then silence. There's a transfer. $3,200 from your account. But that doesn't... Why would you... Now check October, and September, and August. Check every month since you bought that house, Michael." The silence stretched on for nearly a minute. "Dad, this doesn't make sense. Why would you be making my mortgage payments?" "Because I wanted you to succeed, son. I wanted you to feel independent and proud of what you'd accomplished." "But I don't understand. If you were paying the mortgage, then what was I—" "You were paying yourself, Michael. I'd transfer the money to your account, then it would automatically pay the bank. You thought you were being responsible, but you were just moving my money around." I could hear Jessica's voice getting louder in the background. "Michael, what's going on?" "Who are you talking to?" "Dad." Michael's voice was smaller now. "Why are you telling me this?" "Because you need to understand what you threw away when you decided my cancer was too depressing for Christmas." And then I hung up. What happened next would prove just how selfish he really was. Michael called back 17 times that afternoon. I didn't answer. He started texting around 6 p.m. "Dad, please call me back. We need to talk about this. Jessica is freaking out. She doesn't understand what's happening. Dad, I'm sorry about Christmas. Maybe we can work something out. Please don't do this. We can figure out a payment plan or something. I deleted each message without responding. At 7 p.m., he showed up at my apartment. I watched from my window as he sat in his Tesla Model Y, the one I'd helped him get financing for, working up the courage to knock on my door. Finally, he got out and walked up the stairs. Knock, knock, knock. Dad, I know you're in there. Your car's here. I opened the door but didn't invite him in. Michael? Dad, what's going on? I've been trying to understand this mortgage thing and nothing makes sense. He looked tired, stressed. Good. What doesn't make sense about it? If you've been paying our mortgage for 4 years, then what have I been paying? You haven't been paying anything, son. That's the point. But the money comes out of my account every month. Money I put there every month. He ran his hands through his hair. Why would you do that? Because I wanted you to feel successful. I wanted you to believe you could take care of your family. But I can take care of my family. I looked at him for a long moment. On $85,000 a year, with a $3,200 mortgage, car payments, and a new baby? Show me the math, Michael. He opened his mouth to argue, then closed it. Dad, look, I'm sorry about Christmas, okay? I was stressed about Jessica's parents visiting, and I said some things I didn't mean. What specifically didn't you mean? I don't know, the whole thing. Can we just forget about it and move on? Which part, Michael? The part where my cancer is depressing? The part where I don't fit the vibe you're going for? Or the part where you called me dramatic for being told I have 6 months to live? He shifted uncomfortably. Jessica's parents can be judgmental, and I wanted everything to be perfect. So you decided to exclude the man who's been paying for your perfect life. I didn't know you were paying for anything. That's not the point, and you know it. The point is that when push came to shove, you chose to protect yourself over including your dying father in Christmas. Dad, please. What do you want me to do? I'll make it right. I smiled the same cold smile from that first phone call. Actually, Michael, I don't want you to do anything. This is a learning experience. What does that mean? It means you wanted independence from your depressing blue-collar father. Congratulations. You got it. Dad, be serious. We need those mortgage payments. We can't afford the house without them. Then maybe you should have thought about that before you decided I wasn't good enough for your Christmas table, but that's not what I said. That's exactly what you said. You said sophisticated people like Jessica's parents wouldn't understand my situation. You said my cancer would bring down the mood. You said it wasn't the vibe you were going for. His face went red. I was trying to protect everyone. From what? From seeing what unconditional love and sacrifice look like? From learning that your success was built on someone else's generosity? Dad, please. I'll fix Christmas. I'll uninvite Jessica's parents if that's what you want. I stepped back into my apartment. Michael, Christmas was never the real problem. Christmas was just the moment you finally showed me who you really are. What's that supposed to mean? It means you're about to learn what your choices actually cost. And I closed the door. His next move would prove just how entitled he really was. The Facebook post started 3 days later. I wasn't on social media much. Cancer and chemotherapy don't leave you with a lot of energy for posting pictures of your breakfast, but my neighbor Mrs. Patterson was. She knocked on my door Friday evening with a concerned look on her face. Robert, honey, I need to show you something. She handed me her phone. Michael's Facebook page was open. Going through some difficult family situations right now. Please keep Jessica, Emma, and me in your thoughts. Sometimes the people closest to you can become toxic, and you have to protect your family. Boundaries, #toxic family, #choose your own family. 63 likes, 47 comments of support. Oh, honey, Mrs. Patterson said. What happened? I scrolled through the comments. Jessica had responded, so proud of you for standing up for our little family. Emma doesn't need that negativity in her life. Michael's high school friend Brad, bro, family drama is the worst. You're doing the right thing. Jessica's sister, some people just can't handle other people's happiness. Stay strong. I handed the phone back to Mrs. Patterson. Robert, what's this about? You're not toxic. You're the sweetest man I know. It's about $3,200 a month, Mrs. Patterson, and a Christmas invitation that got rescinded. Over the weekend, the post got more specific. Jessica started her own campaign on Instagram. When family members try to manipulate you financially during the holidays, thank God Michael is strong enough to see through the emotional blackmail. Our little Emma deserves better than this drama. Number manipulation, number emotional abuse, number protecting my baby. I had to admire the strategy. Paint me as the villain, make themselves look like victims. Get the community on their side before I could tell my version of events. Michael posted again on Sunday. Update on our situation. Still dealing with family member who thinks money gives them the right to control our lives. We've been independent and successful on our own, and we won't be held hostage by someone's need for attention. Jessica and I are stronger than ever. Independence, hashtag manipulation, hashtag moving forward. Independent and successful on their own. That was rich. I was reading this on Mrs. Patterson's phone. She'd started giving me daily updates when she looked at me with confused eyes. Robert, I don't understand. What money is he talking about? The money I've been using to pay his mortgage for 4 years? You've been paying Michael's mortgage? Every month. $3,200. Mrs. Patterson stared at me. But he's posting about being independent and successful. That's the point, Mrs. Patterson. He doesn't know where his success actually came from. On Monday, Jessica posted a picture of baby Emma in her crib, the crib I'd bought, with the caption, "Protecting this little angel from toxic grandparents who think they can buy love. She'll grow up knowing she's loved unconditionally, not as leverage in someone's sick game." Toxic grandparents. Hashtag pure and conde, no love, hashtag family. That one stung more than I'd expected. Tuesday brought Michael's longest post yet. I've been getting messages asking what's going on with my dad. Here's the truth. Some people can't handle when you succeed without them. When Jessica and I bought our house and started our family, certain people expected us to be grateful forever. When we set boundaries about what kind of energy we want around our daughter, they lashed out. We're not going to be held hostage by guilt trips or financial threats. We built this life ourselves, and we'll protect it ourselves. Number boundaries, success, self-made, toxic family. Built this life themselves. Self-made. Mrs. Patterson was getting angry now. Robert, this is ridiculous. Everyone in the neighborhood knows how much you've helped them. Remember when you painted their nursery? When you helped them move furniture? When you bought Emma's car seat because they couldn't afford the safe one? The community doesn't know about the mortgage payments, Mrs. Patterson. And Michael doesn't seem interested in sharing that information. Well, maybe it's time they learned the truth. I looked at her for a long moment. Sweet Mrs. Patterson, who baked cookies for the whole neighborhood and organized the annual Christmas block party. Maybe it is, I said quietly, because what happened Wednesday would expose every lie he'd been telling, but I had evidence that would prove the truth beyond any doubt. Wednesday morning, I drove to Wells Fargo and asked to speak with a manager. Mr. Davis, said Linda Rodriguez, the branch manager I'd worked with for the past 4 years, how can I help you today? I need official documentation of every mortgage payment I've made for account ending in 1265. Of course. Is this for tax purposes? Legal purposes. She printed out 4 years of payment records, 48 payments of exactly $3,200 each, every one showing my account as the source. Total $153,600. I'll also need a copy of the original loan documents showing me as cosigner. Certainly. The paperwork was damning. Clear as day. Robert Davis, cosigner and responsible party. Michael Davis, primary borrower with insufficient income verification on his own. Next stop, Dr. Mitchell's office. I need copies of my medical records, I told the receptionist. For insurance purposes? Personal purposes. Dr. Mitchell came out to see me. Robert, is everything okay? Your next appointment isn't until Friday. Dr. Mitchell, can you put my diagnosis and prognosis in writing? Official letterhead, dated, signed? She frowned. Of course, but why? Because I need proof that when my son called my terminal cancer dramatic, he knew exactly what he was talking about. 20 minutes later, I had an official letter on Phoenix General Hospital letterhead. Mr. Robert Davis has been diagnosed with stage 4 pancreatic adenocarcinoma with liver metastases. Prognosis is 4 to 6 months with palliative care. Signed, Dr. Sarah Mitchell, MD, Oncology. From there, I drove to Tom Harrison's law office. Robert, you look better. How are you feeling? Like a man with a mission, I need you to prepare a complete financial summary. For what purpose? For the moment when my son realizes he's been lying to everyone about being self-made. Tom pulled out a legal pad. What kind of documentation do we have? I spread everything on his desk. Bank statements, mortgage records, loan documents, medical records. Here's what we can prove, I said. 48 mortgage payments totaling $153,600. Co-signer responsibility, making me legally entitled to stop payments. Terminal diagnosis received October 15th, 2024. Christmas exclusion occurring November 30th, 2024. Tom was taking notes. What else? I pulled out my phone and showed him screenshots of Michael's social media posts. Claims of independence, claims of being self-made, claims that I'm trying to manipulate them financially. Jesus, Robert, he's really painting you as the villain. Tom, I need you to prepare a timeline. Every payment, every major purchase I helped with, every sacrifice I made. I want dates, amounts, and documentation for everything. Are you planning to sue? I'm planning to educate. Tom spent the next hour helping me organize everything into a comprehensive file. We created a timeline that told the real story. January 2021, first mortgage payment, $3,200. March 2021, down payment assistance, $40,000. September 2021, car loan co-signing, $35,000. December 2021, Christmas gifts for Jessica, $2,500. April 2022, home repairs after plumbing leak, $8,000. September 2024, nursery furniture and supplies, $8,000. October 2024, terminal cancer diagnosis. November 2024, Thanksgiving exclusion. November 30th, 2024, Christmas exclusion and depressing comment. December 1st, 2024, final mortgage payment, $197,100, Tom said, adding up the totals, plus 4 years of your time, emotional support, and manual labor. And in return, I got called toxic on social media. Tom leaned back in his chair. Robert, what's your end game here? I want him to understand what he threw away. Not just the money, the relationship. The respect, the gratitude that a dying father deserves from his son. And if he doesn't learn, I thought about that for a moment, then at least everyone else will know the truth. Tom prepared a legal summary of everything, official letterhead, notarized, witnessed, a complete accounting of 4 years of financial support and the circumstances leading to its termination. One more thing, I said. I want to know when the foreclosure sale is scheduled. Tom made a call to the bank. January 15th, 2025. Public auction on the courthouse steps. Perfect. That gives us 6 weeks. 6 weeks for what? For Michael to figure out who he really is when the money stops flowing. I gathered all the documents and put them in a manila envelope. Everything I needed to prove the truth. Because what Jessica's parents discovered that weekend would shock them to their core. December 24th, 7:30 p.m., Jessica's parents' house in Scottsdale. I sat in my Honda Civic across the street watching the Christmas party through the floor-to-ceiling windows. Warm light, expensive decorations, people holding wine glasses and laughing. The kind of party Michael thought I wasn't sophisticated enough to attend. In my passenger seat, a manila envelope containing 4 years of mortgage payments, medical records, and legal documents. In my coat pocket, a certified copy of the foreclosure notice that had been delivered to Michael's house that morning. Christmas Eve. Perfect timing. I'd called Jessica's mother, Linda Wilson, that afternoon. Mrs. Wilson, this is Robert Davis, Michael's father. Oh, Robert, hello. I'm so sorry we haven't met properly yet. Michael has told us so much about you. I'm sure he has. Mrs. Wilson, I have something important to discuss with you about your daughter's family situation. Something I think you should know before you make any major financial commitments to them. I'm sorry, what do you mean? I'll be brief. Are you and your husband planning to help Michael and Jessica purchase a larger home? There was a pause. Well, yes, we've discussed helping them move up to our neighborhood. Why? Because their current house is being foreclosed on, Mrs. Wilson. The notice was served this morning. That's impossible. Michael told us they've been incredibly responsible with their finances. Mrs. Wilson, would it be possible for me to stop by this evening? I have some documents I think you and your husband should see. Robert, we're having our Christmas Eve party tonight. The whole family will be here. I understand. What time would be convenient? Another pause. Well, I suppose around 8 o'clock, after dinner? Perfect. I'll see you then. Now I was here, watching through the window as Michael played the role of successful son-in-law. He was holding baby Emma, showing her off to guests, probably telling stories about their bright future in a bigger house. At exactly 8 p.m., I walked up to the front door and rang the bell. Jessica answered. Her face went white. Robert, what are you doing here? Hello, Jessica. Your mother invited me. We need to talk. I could see Michael over her shoulder. He'd gone pale too. Dad? Mom, you didn't tell me he was coming. Linda Wilson appeared behind Jessica. Michael, I think we all need to have a conversation. The party noise died down as I stepped into the foyer. About 20 people, all dressed in expensive clothes, all staring at the unexpected guest. Mom, what's going on? Jessica whispered. Your father-in-law has some concerns about your financial situation. Michael stepped forward, still holding Emma. Dad, what are you doing? You can't just show up here uninvited. I smiled that same cold smile. Actually, Michael, I was invited. By people who deserve to know the truth before they make a very expensive mistake. Robert Wilson, Jessica's father, emerged from the crowd. Distinguished man, probably worth a few million from his tech company. Mr. Davis, I presume. I'm Robert Wilson. Linda said you had some concerns to discuss? I reached into my coat and pulled out the foreclosure notice. Mr. Wilson, were you planning to help your daughter and son-in-law purchase a new home? We've discussed it, yes. Before you do that, I think you should know that their current home is being foreclosed on. I handed him the notice. This was served this morning. The room went dead silent. Robert Wilson read the document, his face growing darker. Michael, what is this? Michael's voice cracked. I don't know. There's been some kind of mistake with the bank. Dad's been helping us figure it out. Helping you? I laughed. Michael, tell them how I've been helping you. Dad, please don't do this here. Do what? Tell the truth? I opened my manila envelope. Mr. and Mrs. Wilson, let me show you exactly how much I've been helping your son-in-law. I spread the bank statements on their marble coffee table. 48 mortgage payments, $3,200 each, totaling $153,600. Linda Wilson picked up one of the statements. I don't understand. These payments are coming from your account. That's right. Every single mortgage payment for 4 years. Michael has never paid his own mortgage. Not once. Jessica grabbed Michael's arm. Michael, what is he talking about? Michael's face was red now. Dad, you're making this sound worse than it is. Am I? Mr. Wilson, your son-in-law has been telling everyone, including you, that he's financially responsible and ready to move up to a bigger house. But he's never actually paid for the house he's living in now. Robert Wilson was studying the documents. These are legitimate bank records. Completely legitimate. I'm the co-signer on their loan. I've made every payment. Michael thought he was paying the mortgage himself, but the money was coming from my account. I pulled out another document. Here's the original loan application. Michael's income alone wasn't sufficient to qualify for the house. I had to co-sign and guarantee the payments. The party guests were gathering closer, sensing drama. But why are you telling us this now? Linda Wilson asked. I pulled out Dr. Mitchell's letter. Because 3 weeks ago, your daughter and son-in-law uninvited me from Christmas. They said my terminal cancer diagnosis was too depressing for their celebration. Gasps from the crowd. Terminal cancer? Robert Wilson looked shocked. Stage 4 pancreatic cancer, 6 months to live, diagnosed October 15th. I held up the medical letter. But according to Michael, I was being dramatic about a little cancer. Jessica covered her mouth. Oh my God. So I made a decision, I continued. If I'm too depressing to include in their family, then maybe I'm too depressing to pay for their lifestyle. Michael finally spoke up, his voice desperate. Dad, you're embarrassing yourself. These people don't need to hear about our private family business. Private family business. I turned to face the crowd. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you about private family business. This young man has spent 4 years telling people he's self-made and financially responsible. He's been planning to move up to a bigger house with his in-laws' help, but he's never paid his own mortgage. When his dying father asked to spend one last Christmas with his family, he was told he was too depressing to be included. The room was completely silent now. Robert Wilson stood up slowly. Michael, is this true? Mr. Wilson, it's complicated. Dad doesn't understand the whole situation. What situation? That you've been lying about supporting your family? That you excluded your dying father from Christmas? That you're asking us to help you buy a bigger house when you can't even pay for the one you have? Jessica was crying now. Michael, please tell me this isn't true. Michael looked around the room at all the staring faces. It's... Dad's been helping us, yes, but we didn't ask him to. He wanted to help. I wanted to help, I said quietly. Past tense, until you decided that my terminal illness was incompatible with your perfect Christmas. Linda Wilson was reading through more documents. Robert, according to this, you've spent nearly $200,000 supporting them. $197,100, plus 4 years of manual labor, emotional support, and love. I looked directly at Michael, and in return I was told I was toxic, manipulative, and too depressing to be around your daughter. The room erupted in whispers. I could hear fragments. His own father. Terminal cancer. Never paid his own mortgage. Excluded him from Christmas. Robert Wilson handed the documents back to me. Mr. Davis, I'm truly sorry. We had no idea. Of course you didn't. Because Michael has been lying to everyone, including himself. Michael's voice was barely a whisper now. Dad, please. Can we talk about this privately? I looked at him holding baby Emma, surrounded by the wealthy family he'd tried so hard to impress, in the house he'd wanted to fit into so desperately that he'd thrown away his dying father. Michael, we did talk about this privately. You hung up on me. You called me toxic on social media. You painted me as a manipulative villain to anyone who would listen. I turned back to the Wilsons. I wanted you to know the truth before you invested in their future. A future built on lies. Robert Wilson extended his hand to me. Mr. Davis, is there anything we can do? Any way we can help with your medical situation? That's very kind, Mr. Wilson. But the only thing I wanted was to spend Christmas with my family, and I was told that wasn't possible. I gathered my documents and headed for the door. Dad, wait! Michael called after me. I stopped and turned around one last time. Michael, you wanted independence from your embarrassing father. You wanted Christmas without the depressing cancer patient. You wanted to impress people with your success story. I smiled. Congratulations. You got everything you asked for. As I walked to my car, I could hear the explosion of voices behind me. Questions, accusations, the sound of a carefully constructed image crumbling to pieces. The consequences were just beginning. Michael called 47 times over the next 3 days. I didn't answer. On December 27th, he showed up at my apartment with Jessica and baby Emma. Dad, please. We need to talk. I opened the door but didn't invite them in. Jessica wanted to apologize, he said quickly. We both do. We were wrong about Christmas. Jessica stepped forward, tears in her eyes. Mr. Davis, I'm so sorry. I had no idea about everything you've done for us. Michael never told me about the mortgage payments. I know, I said gently. He never told himself either. Dad, please, Michael said. I know I messed up, but we can fix this. I'll get a second job. We'll figure out the payments somehow. Michael, on your salary, you can't afford a $3,200 mortgage payment. We both know that. Then what do you want us to do? I looked at baby Emma, sleeping peacefully in her mother's arms. She was innocent in all this. I want you to understand what your choices cost, son. Not just financially. I want you to understand that respect isn't automatic, even from family. I want you to understand that when someone sacrifices for you, the least you can do is include them in your life. Dad, I understand now. I swear I do. Do you? Because 3 days ago, you were telling people I was toxic and manipulative. Jessica spoke up. He took down all the social media posts. He told everyone the truth. After he got caught. Michael was crying now. Dad, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Please don't let us lose the house. Emma needs a home. I felt the familiar weight of being the adult in the relationship. The one who fixes everything. The one who enables. But something was different this time. Michael, I'm not taking the house away from Emma. I'm teaching you what it means to be responsible for her. What does that mean? It means you have until the foreclosure sale on January 15th to figure out how to be the man you've been pretending to be. I closed the door gently but firmly. For the first time in 4 years, Michael was going to have to solve his own problems. For the first time in my life, I was going to spend my remaining months being respected, not just needed. The mortgage payment was due again on January 1st. I didn't make it.